What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. And today, I was about to give you guys a new mock draft, but guess I'll have to wait till tomorrow because this is a 2021 NFL redraft. Very interesting. So let's just check this out. Saw it pop up and I looked at the first couple picks. I was like, ooh, this is spicy. So let's get into this. If you guys love mock drafts, of course, like, comment, subscribe. Over 3,300, just close in on 3,400 subs as of right now. So thank you guys for being an amazing group of people. I'd love to meet more of you guys. Links down in the description to interact with me. Of course, comment section is another great place to do so. Let's kick into this because got some things to say. Start off with the number one pick, Jags. Stick with Trevor Lawrence. I honestly think that's perfectly fine as long as you don't think Gardner Minshew has a future in Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence, obviously, you saw him end off the season very well. Starting off your final game with a 9 of 9 for like 90 something yards or something like that and a touchdown. That's a good way to start, right? Or it's a good way to finish. So good job for Trevor Lawrence being able to progress throughout the year because he was starting to look a little bit vulnerable during the season. Glad that is now over. So let's go to the number two pick. The Jets going Mac Jones. Now, this one I do not agree with. So obviously the Jets are looking for a quarterback. Mac Jones, one, has a really good offensive line. Two, he has a solidified running back group. And three, he has an excellent defense. The Jets don't exactly have any of those. And that's no disrespect to my boy Michael Carter because I loved him. And he's a good back. He's going to be a very solid back for many years. But for Mac Jones to go number two, at this point, like if you're just saying, oh, from what they did this year, sure, that makes 100% sense. But I have to bring up the fact that, this isn't just being drafted for now. Like you saw flashes from Justin Fields. Even Zach Wilson has had his glory in the sun. If I'm going to be honest, if I were the Jets, I wouldn't even go a quarterback. You got Jamar Chase on the board. You got Penei Sewell on the board, who now can play right tackle. You got Rashawn Slater in this draft. Of course, he hasn't played right tackle yet, so we wouldn't see how he's played there. But I honestly think there's better choices. I think the Jets could have sucked for one more year. Gotta love when the sun rotates like that, or whatever. You guys can get past that. I think the value is much better elsewhere. Even though quarterback's the biggest thing, it's just Mac Jones didn't offer something the Jets would need to be put over the hump. Now, I don't think any other quarterback in this class, maybe besides T-Law, could do that. But again, you're going to be we're kind of going on the very nitpicky side here. I just don't think that Mac Jones has been nearly as prolific as other weapons in this class or other big contributors, like obviously Micah Parsons. It could have even been a good guy on the squad. So that's where I'm going to go right there. 49ers getting Justin Fields. Funny how I was the one who was saying Justin Fields should go to the 49ers, but he didn't. Ended up being Trey Lance, and I was against that pick. I actually gave it, I think, a B+ grade. And that's just because, again, really good value, or not good value, but good position to go after just the wrong guy, in my opinion. And I still feel pretty confident in that. Justin Fields isn't as surefire of a prospect as I thought he would be. I love that. But still a very solid prospect nonetheless. And on the 49ers, I'm sure he would work a little bit better than even Trey Lance would. So again, showing my love there for Justin Fields. I do like that pick quite a bit. Falcons going Kyle Pitts. So Kyle Pitts has been phenomenal, right? Like for how he's had to kind of just take over the entire Falcons receiving core, he's done a phenomenal job. That being said, you still have Jamar Chase on the board. You're lacking a real number one wide receiver. I love Kyle Pitts so much. It's still not as valuable as Jamar Chase would be. So again, nitpicking because Kyle Pitts is phenomenal, and I'm very happy to say he was arguably up there with some of the best in the class. I think he was ranked number 3 on my board, might have been number 2, but still a phenomenal player. And just overall, it's a good pick. I just think the value is better because, of course, I think he forced Jamar to go to the Bengals. I do. Just, again, a very unique receiver. I talked about his micro separation being something that was NFL caliber, like NFL elite caliber coming into the draft. And that was something that made him more special to me than Jalen Waddle, who I was a huge fan of. So Jamar offers a lot in terms of that, especially when you were looking at him from the before draft standpoint, before this entire year. And when he started struggling in the preseason, I was like, dude, just wait. Just wait. This guy has unbelievable talent. He hasn't played for an entire year, right? Like, it's not easy to just get right back into it like that. You need a little bit of some readjustment. And, well, we saw that he readjusted pretty damn quickly. Jamar Chase should be going earlier than this. Dolphins going Jalen Waddle. I highly disagree with this, and I love Jalen Waddle. The biggest issue has been the offensive line, right? You have Rashawn Slater on the board. I don't know why. Who did this? Who wrote this up? Ryan Fowler. To be honest, never even heard of this dude. But two, he obviously doesn't like offensive line or defensive line. This guy's going after weapons as well as quarterbacks, which, I mean, that is something that you factor in. But for the love of God, Rashawn Slater's looked like almost an all-pro. Why the fuck does he not go to the Dolphins, even to the Falcons, the Jets? Like, or you could talk about Penei Sewell as well. Like, both those tackles did phenomenally this year, and you're putting Jalen Waddle, who, again, no disrespect, I love Jalen Waddle, but this team is desperate for offensive line. Desperate. Receivers can come and go. Offensive linemen are hard to find that can be perennial All-Pro, perennial Pro Bowl. Those ones are, in my opinion, much harder to find than impact wide receivers. I don't know what's up with the hate. Lions going Rashawn Slater. I would honestly still stick with Penei Sewell over Rashawn because, again, we haven't seen Rashawn at right tackle. Only reason why. Because also I love Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater. Both of them, I believe, were in my top 5, might have been my top 10. So definitely loved what both those guys brought to the table. I think that this is, I don't know. I don't know if Ryan Fowler understands the difference between a left and a right tackle, but just to be honest, so far it's looking like, again, I'm going to say this as objectively and nicely as possible. His understanding of the NFL and how to draft might not be up to par with other people he's working with or other people in this industry. And again, that can come with time, but yeah, just not good. Panthers getting Surtain at this point. Again, I would definitely look towards Penei Sewell, and you can kind of make the reverse argument of the Rashawn Slater one right there, where we've seen Penei Sewell at right tackle, not left. I would say we've seen Penei Sewell at left. He filled in and he did phenomenally. So for me, that's a much better value than Patrick Surtain, who's an absolute fucking monster, right? I'm, again, no disrespect against Patrick Surtain. I just say for a team that's lacking offensive line, that's a big one, right? And Micah Parsons at number 9. Can you imagine a scenario where you know that Micah Parsons is going to be as dominant as he is, and then some dude puts him at number 9? I'll tell you this, when I make mine, which should be soon, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. None of this bullshit. So if you guys want to see people actually understand what they're talking about when they're talking about redrafting players and bringing them to the right team and drafting correctly, come here. I would like for you guys to stay and check that out because this is crap. The Eagles getting Devontae Smith. Again, I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but I would still consider somebody else than Devontae Smith at this point. And again, there's no disrespect to Devontae. The fact is that, one, the Eagles need a lot more than we've seen that they need a lot more than one wide receiver. Obviously, you still have J.C. Horn on the board and a bunch of other very high-end talented corners and safeties as well. Just, I'm not going to nitpick this too much. I like Devontae Smith. I think he's a phenomenal player. Just, yeah, it's tough for me to get my head around going Devontae Smith here when we know the value of everybody else, when we know that the value wide receiver in the Eagles offense is honestly not as much as it should be. So that's going to be my nitpick there. Bears getting Zach Wilson. Honestly, I would take Trey Lance above Zach Wilson if I were the Bears. Again, you look at how the Bears used Justin Fields with more runs and everything. I think that's a little bit better. Again, just a guy like Zach Wilson has so much potential. Just, I get off hype trains really quickly when I see deer in headlights looks. Like for Matt Corral versus Tennessee and Alabama, I just saw those plays where it just doesn't look like he's there. Zach Wilson, I watched him this year. It doesn't look like he's there. Can that change? Absolutely. I think so. That doesn't mean it will. And I'd much rather look at a quarterback like Justin Fields, who's taking a lot longer to process rather than someone who can't process. If you guys are getting what I'm saying. Obviously, you still have Trey Lance here. This is more like Trey Lance hate right now, which is kind of rude. But and again, I'm not a Trey Lance guy. I had Zach Wilson as my QB2. And that was like a QB 2A, 2B with Justin Fields. But Zach Wilson to the Bears just doesn't really make much sense at all, especially with how crap their offensive line is. He had a big enough issue with the Jets O-line, and honestly, the Jets O-line wasn't nearly as bad as the Bears. That's my personal take. I'm not a huge fan of the Bears offensive line, even if they perform better here and there. Cowboys doing Creed Humphrey. Again, it's like, do you know who's on this roster? Like, yeah, Biadasz is not going to be your Hall of Fame center, but you're going to draft Creed Humphrey above JC Horn, above all these other guys who could have been a bigger impact. It just doesn't make sense. Well, if you're looking at offensive line, why not just go Penei Sewell? Why not? Just say screw it. Just it doesn't make sense for me to me that you're going to go Creed Humphrey at the Cowboy spot when there are much bigger needs than just a center. Again, I feel like a guard spot, sure. But I mean, if you're talking about Tyron Smith in and out of the lineup, why not just go Penei? Why not? It doesn't make sense to me. So Chargers going Penei, that's the best thing that could have ever happened. I feel like this guy's a Bengals and Chargers fan, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you. So yeah, it doesn't make sense why he's there. He's been a fucking stud. Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC to the Jets. I mean, again, he hasn't been on the caliber of the number 14 pick. And I wasn't a huge fan of Elijah Vera Tucker. And honestly, I actually, one of these times when I do my draft, when I do my redraft, I'm actually going to pull it up right now anyways. I have my full draft list here of what I thought when I did every single pick happened. And of course I have to find it. So it's right here, guys. I have every single one of them. And you know what? While we do that, beautiful. Fuck you, son. ABT, I gave a B. It says right here, ABT, I gave a B. Just because, again, big need. And then, again, I didn't like the value for it. But I don't think ABT is worth the number 14 pick. If you're going to be pushing fucking Penei Sewell to the pick before him, you better have a better reason than just like, he's been worth the investment. Like, okay, cool. This isn't talking about being worth the investment. It's like, are you the 14th best player in this class according to the Jets? And he's not. He simply isn't. Especially just the way this draft has been done has been pretty crap. Trey Lance to the Patriots, it would probably work out, to be honest. So I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that's a good pick. Cardinals getting JOK. No, I mean, you already tried that with Isaiah Simmons. Like, don't disrespect JOK like that. Cardinals aren't built for JOK. In my opinion, they're just not built for JOK. You're going to have Isaiah Simmons and JOK on the same lineup, and you're pretty much just saying, screw you. At that point, get JC Horn. I mean, there's better options on the board than JOK for the Cardinals, especially factoring the fact they already have a very small linebacker safety hybrid. So I remember he played Rover as well, which is, I love the name of that role. Just again, it's just wrong to put. I just don't get it. Does he not look at rosters or anything? It just doesn't make sense. And sometimes I slip up too, but this has been consistently multiple teams. JC Horn for the Raiders. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could definitely see that. It would be a much better pick. Honestly, I think Tevin Jenkins would have been a fun one for the Raiders. I still stick to that. Even now, you look at Tevin Jenkins and he's a pretty nasty blocker. Even for the Bears right now, he has some very highlight reel blocks. Like, this guy could be a stud. The Raiders should have taken him, even with the injuries and personality concerns. Dolphins, Jalen Phillips. Again, he had some struggles this year, but, the guy's still a phenomenal edge rusher. Again, I said he was the best edge rusher in the class. It's just, again, you have to factor in the fact that this guy's gone through so many concussions, and now he put up a good enough rookie year, right? That's a pretty damn solid rookie year. I'm happy for him. I hope it's a good one. I just don't know if that's the exact right fit. Washington getting Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, obviously somebody doesn't know what the roster composition is like because Amon-Ra is a slot wide receiver, and this team has a couple slot wide receivers already on its roster. Again, like, get your head straight. The Giants going Kadarius Toney. I think Kadoni is perfectly fine. I love him. You know, the guy hasn't had really much opportunity to be able to be fully used. And when he got his moment in the sun, he just freaking lit it up. So the guy is certainly a very unique and very talented wide receiver, especially with the ball in his hands. I love him. I love him to death. Colts getting Gregory Rousseau here. Again, I don't know why Russo's being taken before Kwity Paye. Like, Gregory Rousseau has his sacks and pressures because he had like 8 versus freaking Miami. And again, it's like Miami, right? So like Kwity Paye still had consistent production every single year. And Kwity Paye offers a lot. Same thing with Rousseau. But again, I don't get why you would take him over Kwity Paye, which you've seen him produce well enough in this defense if you're going to be going an edge route. Asante Samuel Jr. to the Titans. I mean, that's okay. You know, they desperately needed a corner, and Asante Samuel is a very good player. So, you know, I wouldn't mind it. Vikings getting Trey Smith. So I feel like these offensive linemen who play with these elite quarterbacks usually grade out well. I don't think Trey Smith is the long-term option in Kansas City, although for his value, he is freaking incredible. I don't know if he's going to be in my first, again, just because when Creed Humphrey is actually performing very well, when you have a quarterback that is very good at making protection packages, as well as being able to just avoid and be able to move away from pressure, it's just something that, you know, it's a Tom Brady effect on offensive linemen, where Trent Brown looked like he was the best offensive tackle in the NFL, gets $66 million and doesn't do that well for Las Vegas. Well, at that time, Oakland. Just, again, might not be putting him in my first. Steelers getting, oh, for the love of God. Are you serious? You're getting, you got to be kidding me. Are you serious? Davis Mills to the Steelers. Do you think, like, Davis Mills, don't get me wrong, he had a pretty damn solid year for what he was supposed to play like. You think he's worth a first round pick? Like, come on. What is this? Like, what is going on here? TDN, why are you hiring people like this? Like, there's people out here. I'm not just shouting myself out. Like, Broshmo does a fucking great job. I mean, there's other people I could shout out as well. And honestly, if it continues being like this, I'm just going to start shouting out everybody who I think is better. And it might take like a 35-minute video of just saying name after name after name who are better than scrubs like this. Like, when you start saying that these guys are worthy of working at the Draft Network, and you kind of say like other people aren't, and they produce crap like this, people like me get offended. Yeah, it's dumb. Like, these guys are supposed to be big names in this industry, and they're making crap for clicks. It's just dumb. But Jaguars getting Najee Harris here. Again, like, I don't think this guy knows what a style of running back Najee, or, I mean, obviously what is already there in James Robinson. Like, what does Najee add that James Robinson doesn't at this point? And I love Najee. I loved him, and I still do. Just, you're asking for a unique style of back that is supposed to be a receiver hybrid who has speed, who has crazy versatility. Najee has versatility. He doesn't have that top end speed. We've seen that his yards after a break tackle aren't very high because he's good at making people miss, but not doing much after. That's a PFF stat. That ain't mine. But again, this makes no sense. Why the fuck would you get a 3-down back when you have a similar talent in James Robinson? It just doesn't make sense, guys. It doesn't make sense. Why not go Greg Newsome? You went after Tyson Campbell in the second, got rid of CJ Henderson. I feel like he's just seeing names like, ooh, that's good. They got a running back last year. Let's get a running back again. No, it's just bad. Just really bad overall. Tevin Jenkins also there. Greg Newsome to the Browns. He's been great. I like it. I like it. Yeah, he's definitely been a phenomenal corner overall with the flashes that he's done. Yeah, he was a steal. Ravens Rashad Bateman. Again, that's my issue, is that Rashad Bateman is at 27, but Devontae is at 10. And again, no disrespect to Devontae. This is saying if Rashad Bateman's value is literally, if you're looking at pick value, probably a quarter of the 10th overall pick, there's an issue. There's a big issue. Saints getting Kwity Paye here. I mean, they went after an edge rusher in the first round anyways, and Kwity Paye's on the board. You should probably take him. Packers getting Pat Freiermuth. I don't know if Pat's deserved to be a first round pick, but he wouldn't be bad. I think he could be a difference maker on the squad, especially now that they have to have a tight end switch. Christian Barmore to the Bills. That was a pick I was doing for a very long time. That was one that I liked a lot. I will say there's some disrespect towards Eric Stokes here. He was thrown in the fire, and he's actually done some very good plays. So I don't like that much. And also, there's a guy in Odafe Owe that we'll talk about in a minute that has played extremely well, and he's at number 32 when he was actually originally taken at 31. Why? And then Azeez Ojulari, loved him when he got picked up. Give that an A+. Big fan of Azeez Ojulari. But this makes no sense. This makes no sense at all. Why is Odafe at 32? It really doesn't make any sense. Like, again, I don't get it. I don't get it. It makes sense that he's a Washington football team fan. Like, it just, if he was a writer for them, it makes sense. It makes sense. Just somebody who doesn't know what's going on. The poor fans have to suffer because people like Ryan Fowler are doing shit like this. It just gonna just do one tiny rant left. It's like one more. This is crap content. The more I see this, the more I want to boycott TDN. And I wish other people were with me on this. And I know other people feel similarly. This is crap content from a big name in the industry. It's ridiculous. It's wrong. People like this should not be working at this job when other people decide to try to work their ass off and get jack shit. It's just wrong. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed at least seeing me get a little bit angry, because it drove me insane. See you guys on the far side. Peace.